I'd like to welcome you all to the How to Create a Lead Generation System That Actually Works webinar. I'm Jen Barnes. This webinar is all about taking control of the lifeblood of your business, your lead generation. Today, you're going to learn why lead generation is so damn difficult, why and what your marketing should and shouldn't look like, and the key fundamentals required for a lead generation system to actually work. And when I say work, I mean break records. I mean create a system that's a lead generation machine that you can literally turn off and turn on whenever you want, generating leads that literally want to convert into profitable and ideal customers. Tell you what, guys, this is not airy-fairy stuff. This is systematic, it's strategic, and above all, it's reliable. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about today's presenter. It's Bruce Donaldson. If I'm the beauty behind this operation, I tell you what, he's the brains. Over the last 20 or so years, Bruce has been at the cutting edge of education, high-level training, and business mentoring. He has a deep passion, not just for imparting knowledge, but having it applied and getting it into action. The first part of today's session demystifies lead generation. It breaks it down into parts so that you can easily see it being replicated in your business. Then I'm going to be back. I'm going to be telling you my story, how I got into all of this, and then I will lead the decent Q&A session towards the end. All right, folks, buckle up. Let's get your lead generation working. Over to you, Bruce.
Thank you, Jen. Good morning, everyone. Okay, today's presentation, we're going to show you a system for marketing your business to a point where it becomes instantly obvious to your prospects that they'd be a complete idiot to do business with anyone other than you, anytime, anywhere, or at any price. So today, I'm going to show you how you can leverage what you're already doing just by changing what your marketing says and what your advertising says. There's no radical changes in this. It's just simple, common sense changes. It's a breakthrough in marketing that's easy to understand and implement. And we're going to show you what your marketing should look like, and most importantly, what it shouldn't look like. So the marketing system is based on unchanging principles of human nature that dictate what people always want to make the best buying decision possible. Therefore, your job as a marketer is not to ramble on about how great you are or how low your prices are. Your role is to position your potential customers so that they'll have total control over the decision-making process, based on them having enough quality information so that they can determine they're actually getting the best value for money. Now, there's a core distinction that needs to be understood in marketing, and that's the difference between strategic marketing and tactical marketing. Now, strategic marketing is the content of your message. It's what you say and how you say it. On the other hand, tactical marketing is where your strategic message is seen. This is where you run your ads, where you place your websites, attending trade shows, things like that. Now, 99% of the time, if we ask businesses about their marketing plan, the answer generally comes back in terms of tactical marketing. This is where they're running their ads. So, the key to effective marketing is to master the strategic side, not the tactical side. So, this is what your marketing says, and it's almost always more important than the actual medium and where you say it. So the real leverage in marketing is in the message itself, and that's just strategic side of marketing. In fact, normally when a marketing campaign bombs, we have the tendency to blame the marketing medium, the TV station, the radio ads, which is a tactical side of the plan. This is without any regards to how good or how bad the strategy behind your marketing is. So during this presentation, you'll learn how to say things in a way that will make a profound difference in your marketing, no matter how crowded your market is. This is a revolutionary system that works with all sides of business and all kinds of business. There's no exceptions. This is so important, we've called strategic messaging the missing link in marketing. So the reason why everything you currently know about marketing does not allow you to accurately portray your inside reality to the outside world, this is a product of decades of conditioning to do marketing the wrong way. So in the very early days of marketing, this is the late 1800s, the early 1900s, much of the advertising that existed back then was comparative in nature. So ads wouldn't say, hey, I'm better. They'd say, we're better and here's exactly why. So back then, they did a pretty good job of building a case and helping prospects understand the important issues in regards to their product or their services. The result was that the outside perception of someone's business was generally a pretty good reflection of the inside reality. So then the most significant event in the history of marketing and advertising occurred in 1945, and this was the introduction of TV. Television was commercially introduced for the first time, so up until then, national distribution of advertising was pretty much limited to radio and print ads. But with the introduction of TV, large advertisers could buy a TV commercial and reach just about every living person in the country for about $4,000 a minute. This was usually sold in 1 or 2 minute blocks, and that was a bargain even back in 1950s money. Back then there was about 3 channels on TV. So demand quickly outstripped supply, prices shot through the roof. And in response to the rising cost of this, the length of commercials shrank down from 2 minutes to about 30 seconds. So what this means was that advertisers had way less time to educate us into the important and relevant issues, and less time to build a case into why they were different, better or unique from the competition. So instead of attempting to use shorter ads that highlighted their competitive natures, advertisers changed tactics. This is when we started using slogans. Now, what happened then? This change has made it harder and harder for the outside perception of your business to accurately reflect your inside reality. Now, we need to remember that marketers' first job is simply to get the prospect's attention. Now, even running a 30-second ad, getting attention was still not a great problem for advertisers. But then what? After you've grabbed a prospect's attention, you need to facilitate the decision-making process. So companies and ad agencies found this was a lot harder to do in 30 seconds than in 2 minutes. They also found out that they didn't really need to do this. This was because the real number of competitors, the competitors that could actually afford to pay for TV advertising in these days and run ads, was wonderfully few. So they could spend a ton of money running a 30-second ad and pretty much win by default. Now, if there happened to be 2 or 3 competitors all jockeying for the same prospects, for example, Pepsi and Coke, it wasn't particularly a problem because there was enough business to divide 2 or 3 ways. So the bottom line of this is that a company's inside reality and outside perception didn't really have to match up. The lack of choices eliminated this necessity. So the focus of all advertising and marketing shifted simply to getting a prospect's attention. So this is when advertising lost its focus on selling and shifted its focus to creativity. The idea was simply to get into the customer's brain with something creative that would stimulate them and cause them to recall the product later on. This is when slogans started to become the de facto norm of marketing, the standard that's still used today. You've all heard it, breakfast of champions, home of the Whopper, beans, means Heinz. I'm sure you get the idea. This new creative approach took over advertising as we know it, and it's filtered through all our advertising media: radio, newspaper, print ads, billboards, yellow pages, and naturally, more recently, websites and the online world. So once this new creative message was in place, the big companies spent lots of money, stacks of money, and basically gave people no option but to remember their message. After hearing things go better with Coke for the 8,000th time, you do tend to remember it. This is whether you want to or not. So this is called C&R advertising. C for creativity, R for repetition. This is known as the era of the brand builders. Happened in the 1950s, 1960s and 70s. And it was pretty much a no-brainer formula for marketing dominance. And this was for companies with big budgets to pull this off. This is when it happened. So ad agencies started running this formula for all of their clients, regardless of who they were, even the ones with not so deep pockets. Business schools started teaching marketing and advertising based on these methods. That's been successfully implemented for the big companies and turned out graduates who knew no other way to do marketing. So brand builder marketing and advertising become the de facto norm for how we do advertising. And after a few years, no one even questioned this formula. Now this brings us to the crux of the problem. All of us today, with no exceptions, pretty much grew up era with the brand builders. All of the advertising you've ever seen or heard is a product of the era of these brand builders. So as a result, we've all become conditioned as to what constitutes a good ad. We learn the fundamental patterns for what to put into a commercial. We learn about slogans, jingles, and being funny. We learn that in marketing and advertising, the outside perception, so the outside perception of your business, no longer reflected the inside reality. So let me repeat. Everything you've ever been taught about generating leads and growing your business is wrong. And now, hopefully, you know why. So as a result of this new breed of advertising, jargon has now started to dominate all marketing and advertising. Now, jargon, I need to think of jargon as words or phrases that are unfortunately drearily commonplace, fairly predictable. They lack power to evoke any kind of interest in our prospects through overuse and repetition. And unfortunately, they're actually stated as their original or significant. In advertising, we see this and hear this all the time. Now, since businesses only have about 30 seconds to convey what makes them special, what makes them stand out, they tend to lump everything into jargon. Classic examples here: largest selection, most professional; lowest prices, highest quality; most convenient, fastest; largest in the universe. I like that one. We're more honest, we're the experts; we specialise, we work harder; get the job done the first time; and been in business for over 4,000 years. Now look, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be all these kind of things. We most definitely should be. They make up the foundation of your inside reality. But consider this. If my marketing says that I offer high quality and great service, isn't that commonplace and predictable? Everyone says this. Problem is it lacks power through overuse and repetition. Advertisers still use jargon as though it was original and significant. Now, does my inside reality really shine through with this jargon? I don't believe it does. See, we simply can't describe, demonstrate or exhibit our inside reality using jargon. It's impossible. And unfortunately, the end result of this is that our outside perception looks no different from everybody else's. There's absolutely no distinction, no separation, and no differentiation. None whatsoever. So you just flat out, you can't make your inside reality and outside perception match up when you use jargon like this. So take a look at your advertising, your website, and run what we call the jargon evaluation technique number 1. And this is the, well, I hope so evaluation. So when you make a claim, you need to think about it in terms not of the words coming out of your mouth. We need to think about it in terms of what prospects are hearing, what's going in their ears. So this will enable us to realise just how absurd most jargon sounds. Look at your messaging, or look at your marketing, and then ask yourself if the prospect's immediate reaction to this response would be, well, I'd hope so. Some classic examples: satisfaction guaranteed, free quotes, we accept Visa and MasterCard. So does every other business, so, well, I'd hope so. So the problem is, if your business has an excellent inside reality and you're using the same jargon, the same phrases as everyone else, then to the rest of the world, your outside perception is you're exactly the same as every other business. Now, this is when, unfortunately, prospects default to companies offering the lowest price. Price then becomes your only determining factor. Now, let's have a look at the evaluation technique number 2. And this is what we call, who else can say that? So, as marketers, we need to stop thinking about who else can do what I do. We need to think of terms in who else can say what I say. Because generally the answer is everyone can say what you say. Though there's one final jargon evaluation technique. We call this the scratch out and write in test. So once again, look at your brochure, look at your marketing, your website. Simply scratch out your name, write in your competition's name. That's it. Now, if your marketing still holds true, your website still conveys the same basic message, you've just failed this test. Sorry about that one. Now, is it evident that this might be a problem for you now? Tremendous competitive advantage if we can figure out how to fix this in your own marketing. So let's introduce what we call the conversion equation. This is really powerful stuff. This will eliminate jargon forever. It also enables you to become a communications powerhouse. It's going to make your outside perception an excellent reflection of your inside reality. And it's finally going to let you get the results that your marketing should be getting for you. So the conversion equation has 4 main components. First is the interrupt. This is simply the process of getting your ideal customer to pay attention to your marketing, and this is at best achieved by appealing to them emotionally. Second component is to engage. So once we've interrupted our prospective clients, we need to promise them a solution to their problem and inform them or help to inform them to make the best buying decision possible. This is also best accomplished on an emotional level. Third component is to educate. So once we've interrupted and engaged prospects, we need to give them information that allows them to logically understand how and why we can solve their problem. Now this is best accomplished by giving detailed, inside reality revealing information. Now this then turns the corner from an emotional sell into a logical sell. Okay, the fourth and final component of the conversion equation is the offer. Now the prospect is engaged emotionally and logically, the last step for you is to give your prospect a low, or better yet, an absolute no-risk way for them to take the next step in the sales process. Now this can be accomplished by a free marketing tool such as a report, video content, seminar, something educational. So this way the prospect is in complete control of their decision-making process. The conversion equation follows the formula for what marketing is supposed to do in the first place. This is namely to interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. So if we actually want to know why Jane Doe buys what Jane Doe buys, what we've first got to do is see the world through Jane Doe's eyes. Now, if you want to know what Jane Doe sees, we really need to understand how Jane Doe's brain works, how it processes information, and how we make decisions. Now, to understand this process, there's three main components. These are the components that no one else in the world of marketing understands. But they're the three components that make all the difference to your marketing, or to your marketing's effectiveness and your profitability. All good things. Now, these three things you need to know about Jane Doe's brain is what we call downtime, uptime, and the reticular activator. So let's start with downtime. Downtime's a hypnotic state that runs automatic patterns through your brain, performs habitual tasks, and this is without any conscious thought. Okay, we do this all the time. Now, in marketing terms, what it means is that people see and hear your ads with their eyes and ears, but they don't notice them on a conscious level. Okay, the next component is uptime. This is a brain state of alertness or active engagement. Now, here's what uptime means when it comes to marketing. When your prospect's in uptime mode, they consciously notice your ad, which is can only be a good thing, and they're open to your suggestions and solutions. Something's caught their attention and compels them to keep paying attention. So the key to marketing is to get your prospect out of downtime and into uptime. Now, once you understand how to do this, you'll have the ability to make a fortune in your marketing. Right, now let's have a quick look at the reticular activator. Now, this is a part of your brain that's on the lookout 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when we're asleep. It constantly scans the environment and looks for things that fall into any of these three categories. They are things that are familiar, things that are unusual, and things that are problematic. Now, when your brain detects any of these three categories, this is on a subconscious level, it sends a message over to the conscious side of your brain, basically says, hey, wake up, pay attention. There's something here you need to pay attention to. Now, whatever those familiar, unusual, or problematic things are, they're called activators. And when our brain finds one, our subconscious brain, it pokes our conscious brain, snaps us out of downtime sleep mode and into uptime alert mode. So what does this all have to do with marketing? Well, the short answer here is pretty much everything. Understanding what wakes people up so they pay attention, is what's going to get our marketing message past the interrupt stage and into the engage stage. So when we've engaged our prospect, we actually increase our chances of selling to them by about 1,000%. So this is going to solve the problem that every other marketer hasn't been able to figure out. And this is just how to get, not just how to get your prospects interrupted, but also to get them engaged. Not just finding any activator, but we need to find the right activator. Look, interrupting people's easy. Any idiot can do it. It's so-called marketing gurus that drive around in their Porsches and ponytails have been doing this all the time. Now these guys generally use activators that are based on things that are familiar or unusual because they're simply the easiest to pull off. I'm sure you've noticed how many animals are used in advertising. It's because animals are familiar and likeable, generally. It's the idea that these animals will interrupt you by poking your conscious brain when they've been detected by your reticular activator system. Example, Chum has a Scotty dog, Bundy Rum has a bear. Now, all these animals have good intermittent value because they're familiar. It's also the major reason why big companies use celebrities. They're familiar as well. So what about activators on unusual things? Well, this is where creativity came in it. Now, creativity's main purpose in advertising is simply to dream up something weird, strange, so shocking, so unusual that it's going to snap us out of downtime and into uptime, also known as interrupt. But here's the key, and what the most important thing you're going to learn about this presentation. Once the brain is activated, once it's been broken out of downtime and into uptime alert mode, it wants to be engaged. So our brain immediately and subconsciously searches for additional clarifying information. It's searching for additional facts, and if it finds them, it'll become engaged. Unfortunately, if not, we quickly revert back to downtime. So we generally refer to these important relevant issues as hot buttons. Example, if you're a cricket fan and your reticular activator detects Shane Warne on TV, it'll notice that on a conscious level because Shane Warne's familiar. He's an activator. Then your brain will probably immediately ask, hey, what's Shane Warne doing getting hair replacement? Now, is there anything relevant or important here to me? Or in other words, is it a hot button issue for me at this point in my life? Now, an activator is something that's going to snap a person from downtime into uptime. It's based on things that are familiar, unusual, problematic. Also, an activator can also be classed as a hot button, but this is if and only if it's based on something that's important and relevant to your prospect. So your best bet to successfully interrupt and engage your target audience is to identify problems, frustrations, uncertainties, and annoyances that they have at the time, and then address them in your marketing. Now, in most cases, their pain is also their hot button. So all we're doing here is tapping into the problems that your prospects already have. But we're not trying to manufacture a crisis for them. They have plenty of their own. We're merely poking their problems, pointing out their problems, so that the reticular activator notices and brings us onto their active radar screen. Now here's the key point to all of this, and what none of the big ad agencies seem to understand, and the one that you actually need to know in order to make this all work for you. Activators that are used to interrupt the prospect, they must be based on a relevant hot button. If not, what happens? Your prospect will be momently interrupted. but very quickly reverts from uptime back into downtime. We call this false uptime. Now this happens in marketing and advertising all the time. Most marketing interrupts, but it fails to engage. Just like Shane Warne on hair replacement. If you don't have a hair loss issue, you're back to downtime as quick as look at you. So we've all been conditioned to believe that as long as we can interrupt a prospect, that's it, that's all we need to do. Well, it's not quite good enough. You have to realise that interrupting your prospects only a quarter of the equation. We've got to include all four components: interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. This is to get the maximum results from your marketing and advertising. So when it comes to writing marketing, we need to portray the hot buttons in the form of a headline, first line of your ad, first words in radio campaigns. This is your first opportunity to interrupt Jane Doe, and you've normally got between 1 and 3 seconds to do this, which is not long. So the headline needs to have activators in it, and these need to be based on information that's important and relevant to Jane Doe at the time. Remember, hot buttons, words or phrases that describe the problem or frustrations that your prospect is feeling. This is so their reticular activator latches onto them and snaps them into uptime. Let me give you a quick example. Child psychologist who work with kids with behavioural problems. Most of these types of professionals advertising saying things like, we offer parenting advice and resources. We can help get your child under control. Learn the secrets of well-behaved children. Now, as a parent with a screaming, out of control child losing it in the supermarket, I'm sure most of us have been there, why would I personally want to know the secrets of a well-behaved children? Now, do you see what I mean when I say that no one's really getting this? That everything you know about marketing is wrong. Now, if you have a child like that, basically uncontrollable and unmanageable, then aren't we desperate for a solution for this behaviour? So, what if the child psychologist used a headline that you can see on the screen? Are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming and belligerent attitude of your child? Now, doesn't that immediately address the conversation going on in the prospect's head? Won't the headline immediately interrupt them? This will knock them out of downtime and into uptime. Of course it will. What it does, it hits a prospect's hot button of the uncontrollable child. Okay, to wrap this up about interrupt and engage, I'll address the topic of engage specifically just for a moment. So to successfully engage prospects, all you have to do is use a subheadline that promises the reader a solution for their problem. If they'll keep reading or listening to the ad, then they're going to get the information that will facilitate them making their best decision possible. This is not sales information. No, it's not here's how great we are information, but rather bona fide decision facilitating information. Now, sometimes the headline will be enough to engage, but it's more frequently the subheadline that makes the promise to educate and therefore engages prospects. So let's have a look. The headline the psychologist used, are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming and belligerent attitude of your child? Subheadline, now you can discover the secrets of controlling your child and instantly restore peace and quiet in your home. Show me one parent that's experienced this type of behaviour from their child who wouldn't immediately respond to this type of advertising. The subheadline engages the prospects to continue reading and help them with their decision facilitating information. Now, this brings us to the third and fourth components of the conversion equation, that is educate and offer. I mentioned earlier that every marketing piece should contain a no risk, offer or low risk offer to encourage your prospects to take the next step. That offer should generally be to receive additional information, further information to educate your prospect to help build your case. Now here's the real key to successful marketing. The right offer allows you to capture a large percentage of your future buyers, in addition to those who are looking to buy now. There's an educational process that the prospect goes through, from the moment they begin thinking about buying your product or service to the point where they actually complete the purchase. Most marketing only caters for now buyers. Those are the people who are going to make a purchase decision in the very near future. And it does nothing or very little to educate those who are thinking about it, those who might buy later. Now here's the problem with this. Now buyers represent a tiny percentage, somewhere between 1 and 5% of people who are ultimately going to buy what you sell. So there's 95 to 99% of your prospects who are in thinking about it mode, in research mode. They're attempting to gather information and nobody gives them this. So here's the fourth and final component. This is your offer. This is the huge part of the conversion equation. What your offer does, it gives you the opportunity to provide additional educational information to the 99% of prospects in the information gathering mode. And in the process, you get to capture valuable information about who these people are. So this lets you proactively market to them on an ongoing basis. Okay, back to the child psychologist. Offered information on gaining and maintaining control of children in 60 seconds. Now, here's the great part about having this type of offer. When parents go online to request the free information, the child psychologist now captures the prospect's contact information and then can proactively market to them from now until ever. It's an absolute bonus. Now, providing them with additional decision-making information helps them, by providing them with additional decision-making information until they're now finally ready to buy. Now, depending on what you sell and your specific situation, there are 8 main types of informational offers that we create and offer your prospects. So if you want to dominate your marketplace, you've got to get your offer right as well. Hopefully, this is all coming together for you now. So, interrupt, engage, educate, and offer makes up the conversion equation. And it's literally the backbone of all the incredible successful marketing campaigns we've ever put together. So I'm going to wrap this up. So you can probably tell from the depth of information in the presentation that this is a bona fide system that helps business owners, just like you, become financially free using superior marketing that actually makes your phone ring. Right, folks. If you remember, back to the introduction, Jen Barnes. Now, Jen Barnes, she's a founder of the Smart Business Project, and she comes at this in a deeply practical way. She's lived and breathed it. She's having revolutionized not only her own business, but now scores of others. So over the last 20 or so years, Jen started, built, bought, sold, franchised, partners, and mentored business. Yep, she knows a lot. She's done the hard yards as well. So what she's going to tell you today is her experience when she first implemented this training, and the results are fantastic, and what a difference it's made. So over to you, Jen. Jen, you should be on.
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. Okay. Hi everyone. Yeah. Look, I get wheeled in for the before and after shot of implementing this training, because the example I'm going to give you now is so stark It's almost unbelievable and unfortunately true. Okay, so cast your mind back. This is 7, 8, 9 years ago. I ran a flooring contracting business. We were in the safety sector of flooring. You imagine, 5 guys in utes running around all over Sydney. Okay, so my main lead generation back then was on radio. I would routinely spend campaigns of around about $10,000. Those kind of campaigns typically lasted, I don't know, usually about 10 days. And I'm giving you one of the worst case scenarios now, just to make this really stark. Okay, once, actually it happened twice or 3 times from memory, the phone rang 15 times for that $10,000. And, guess what? I closed one of them for $2,000. You can do the math there. Net loss of $8,000. Just hideous stuff. Yeah, sure, I was breaking even, most of the time, but yeah, on a number of occasions, this was the very sad, very typical, very painful result from marketing. Then there's light years in between this and once I applied this very training about 5 years later to the very same radio campaign. Okay, so it's light years away, and this is, yep, granted, one of my better scenarios from my parallel universe time. It's one of my best cases, but I spent far less. It was a $1,300 campaign, and I used that conversion equation. I changed what the ad said to massively interrupt my target market. That's all. Instead of getting 15 calls and 1 sale, we blew ourselves away. We got 137 and closed 37 of them. It's chalk and cheese, guys, light years apart. At the same time, because of the added value we added into the process, which is another part of the training entirely, we were now getting our average sale value up to $2,500. So we're looking at $92,500 in the bucket instead of an $8,000 loss. That, at the end of the day, guys, is what this is all about. Strategic marketing like this and putting these systems in place in your business is all about getting a way, way bigger bang with far less marketing buck. It's as simple as that. Guys, that scenario was just on 3 years ago now, okay? And having implemented these systems into my business, the great thing about that, I was able to sell it and move on to something that actually called to me. Considering my original training in life, when I left school and went to uni, it was ironically in marketing. And through this training, I realized that I too was a product of a system that's skewed to do marketing the wrong way. So I've kind of turned into a bit of a Joan of Arc for the small business sector, and that's what the genesis of the Small Business Project is all about. It's why we run these webinars. It's our mission in life to share this with as many of you guys, as many fellow entrepreneurs out there, so that you can confidently steer your businesses to financial certainty. God, it's been an amazing journey, certainly so far anyway. Where we excel is showing businesses how to generate leads in volume. And not just any old leads or tire kickers. We're talking leads that literally want to convert into fabulous, ideal, profitable customers. And you're going to be doing it by spending far less. In fact, as you saw before, a tiny fraction of what you're probably already paying in marketing and advertising costs. Can you imagine, just for a second, what your business would look like if you dramatically reduced what you're spending in your advertising and marketing, and you're dramatically ramping up and increasing your response rate? Can you imagine? Look, these kind of systems that we're talking about today, they guarantee to double your response rate. But look, we regularly see 10 times and even up to 50 times the response rates in some areas. And I tell you what, seeing this happen for other businesses gives me a joy I cannot express. Every hair on my body goes up. And I tell you what, they're pretty happy about it too. So yeah, Bruce and I and the team here, we apply these fundamentals, the conversion equation, the 5-step profit formula. We're applying them every day to websites and businesses. I tell you, it never misses. It's not some, as we said, airy-fairy stuff. This is reliable. We do work with a few larger organisations, but the vast majority of our clients are small businesses. We even work with a couple of startups that we believe in. Look, we really know our stuff when it comes to accelerating small business owners through that barrier to financial certainty. In fact, we've refined our processes down to such a point that at the moment we're writing a book on it. It's the entire focus of our next book, which does open up a little bit of an opportunity for anyone who's here on today's webinar. We need research data. There's a section in this book, it's all about finding any small business at least $10,000 or 5% of additional annual revenue that's trapped inside the way you're currently marketing your business. Okay, it's in there, it's trapped. Now this is regardless of market type, product or service. Because this is sort of blue water stuff and no one's done anything like this before that we can find anyway, we need substantive research data to back these claims up. So anyone on today's call, we're offering a 50-minute sales and marketing analysis for absolutely no charge whatsoever, where we're going to unlock at least $10,000 that's trapped inside your current marketing, and you'll also walk away with a strategic marketing blueprint for your business, something that's giving you the steps that you can actually take in your business to go strategic with your marketing. We usually charge just on $300 for that. However, today, no charge. In fact, it's like that for the next month or so, I think, until we get the data we need. Absolutely, there's a catch, and today our catch is that we're going to need your written okay for that. We need a paper trail to connect with our data. That's not about naming you or your business or anything like that. What we need is the data coming out of this sales and marketing analysis. We need the paper trail, basically. Okay, so I can only take 12 appointments from today's webinar, and they happen online or on the phone. So this is not about rocking up to your business and trying to sell you something. So look, if you're serious and you want to see what the bottom line impact of all of this is, you know, of putting an accelerated lead generation system, a revenue growth system into your business, to actually know what those numbers look like in your business, as well as unlock that 10 grand, look, see the GoToWebinar panel there? Alongside your name, put your email address. That's how we can send you a link to my appointment calendar. It's mine or Bruce's appointment calendar. You can check out and see which times work for you. It's going to have to be on a first and best dressed basis. But so if you're actually keen about this, pop your address, your email address in the questions box there alongside your name, and we'll send you the link. Usually we get the links out to people sort of within an hour or so after the webinar. And look, I don't know how long this offer is going to stay open for. It's as long as we need this data. So it could be another month or so before availability opens up. So guys, if any of you out there are keen to see this in action in your business, make sure you put your email address beside your name in that question panel. Alrighty. Actually, Bruce, what I think we'll do is leave the webinar open for about a minute or two after we've finished, so that yeah, to make sure that people have got any questions or their email addresses in that panel. But in the meantime, folks, it's time for the Q&A part of the day. So yeah, we're just going to open it up, and if anyone's got any questions, can you use that same panel, the question panel, jot them in there, and we'll knock them off one by one. Okay, what have we got? Fabulous. Okay, we've got a few people wanting that. Great. wanting the analysis. Excellent. Now, while you were talking, Bruce, I got a couple through. I had somebody asking what other webinar events we have. I'll just handle that one briefly. We've got another one that details the how to double the revenue in your business in 180 days and then go exponential if that's what you want to do. It's called the 5-Step Profit Formula. It's a fabulous piece of training. And another one, the third one, is a real detailed look at the conversion equation. So we break that down into those parts and we really nail that as a full focused topic. So yeah, there's 2 other webinars in this series. Another question here. It's a funny one. I hope you're joking. Well, you might not be, but yeah, we've got Lyndall. Listen, what I'll do there is I'll email you the details. She's after the details of the child psychologist. I think she might have a out of control child. That's fine. I'll get that to you separately later. And yeah, look, and I've got another bunch here. I've got an online business, I've got a tradie business, and I've got a charity wanting to know if it's going to work for them. And guys, the overarching answer to that is these are fundamentals. This is marketing fundamental stuff, you know, 101. It works across every business, no matter what type, product, service, or space, or actually where you are in the world, as it turns out, because we've now got international clients. These are fundamentals. They work with everything. Okay, let me see. Any other questions here? And oh, by goodness me, we're about over time too. So if there's nothing else in the question panels, Bruce, I think, do you want to do your flying farewell?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Are you there? Okay.
And can you hear me? Jen?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So folks, the biggest takeaway from today is information without applications absolutely useless, folks. We're going to have all the information we can get. If we don't apply it properly, nothing's going to work. So if you're not quite ready to see how all this is going to work in your business, that's fine. Stay in the loop. We'll keep you updated with fundamentals and ways to apply these in your business. Guaranteed they work. Or if you're serious and want to see all this be applied to your business, walk away and find out how 10,000K is currently locked in your marketing. And with a strategic marketing plan, make sure you whack your email in the question panel before we end the webinar, and we'll get back to you within the next hour or two with that. So if you've got any other questions, now's your final chance to ask them, or you can always drop an email. There's Jen's email on the screen. I think that's it. I hope the information's been valuable and will help you in your business. Jen, do you have anything else to add?
No, guys. Just if you're keen to see this, put your email address in there, and yeah, see how this fits on your business. In the meantime, guys, bye for now. See you on another webinar, or maybe see you on a phone consultation. But I just want to wish you all the best of success.
Muted.